Arielle Redman from the University of York. Today's session on creating a meme to build digital skills. And if at some point during today you can just fill in our form, let us know who you are and where you come from. We'd really appreciate that. It'll only take you 30 seconds. And now I'm going to hand over to you, Arielle.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Yes, I'm Arielle. I work as part of the teaching and learning team at the University of York, and we do a lot of work with staff and students looking at digital skills and how to build those skills and really empower everyone so that that's not a barrier for them, whether they're doing research or becoming sort of employable citizens and contributing to society and all those sorts of things. So I'm going to talk to you today about how memes can enhance our digital skills. So I have a quick poll that I would really appreciate you doing. And it is very simply, how much experience do you have with memes? Are you a meme connoisseur? Or is this sort of your first ever delve into the vast world of memes? Okay, very helpful so far. Thank you to those of you who have responded. Okay, so then for most of us who memes are completely new to us, then this is going to be a really interesting whirlwind ride for us. So this is actually a 2-hour session that we normally do. Obviously, it's stripped back a little bit, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to post in chat the link to these slides and also a link to, oh yes, does that show you the results? I don't normally use Collaborate, so it's quite exciting to use a new platform. Great. Okay, so there you go. So you can see now that we're pretty much on a level playing field. So here are the slides, and there is a skills guide, because one of the things that my team works on is a selection of guides online that can extend your skill base with lots of things, not just digital things, but things like critical reading and things like that. So the link to that is there for you. It's for free. Everything on there is free and available to use. And this series of sessions that we did, creating a thing, a tangible, digitally tangible thing at the end, it was all about extending your skill base by creating a certain thing. So for example, creating a digital self-portrait, well, that sounds lovely and artistic, and you get that digital self-portrait at the end, but you're actually learning about data visualization and skills that can help you in research. So it's this kind of looking at not just the skills themselves, but looking at what those skills can actually help you to do and create. So let's take a look at memes. What is a meme? What is a meme? Okay, so a meme comes from this anthropological concept of an idea, a behavior, or a style, or something that is passed on from person to person, and it has this kind of exponential growth factor because of that. And memes, it comes from this Greek word meaning to mimic or to imitate, and that kind of is essentially what a meme is. And its most common format is in the form of an image combined with text. There are other forms of memes, but if you hear somebody talking about a meme, that's what they're probably talking about, an image combined with text. And we'll explore what that actually looks like as we go through. And one really important thing to think about is that memes reflect the culture. So because it's something that spreads from person to person, it has to be culturally relevant at the time. So you could say that memes reflect the culture, or perhaps even that the culture reflects memes. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this as we go. So memes seep into our culture and our consciousness, and you can tell me at the end whether you think that is a good thing or a bad thing. Here is a picture of a Turkish chef. He has a very famous Instagram account, and it became famous because of videos he posted online of him slicing some things, particularly with particular flair. And he salted one of these pieces of meat that he cut with a little over-the-shoulder gesture. You can see that's perhaps an unusual way to salt meat. I don't know how you normally might salt or season anything you cook, but this really took the internet by storm. And he went overnight to being in, loads of internet spaces and online articles and things. And then this slowly became more and more pertinent, to the point where footballers started mimicking this gesture after scoring a goal. And you can see a couple of examples there. Of course, it was used quite a lot in other ways as well. This kind of salt gesture. So this chef became dubbed as Salt Bae. And if you're not convinced that that meant that he went truly viral and seeped into the consciousness of the world, then let me propose to you this Fortnite emote. So Fortnite, a hugely popular game, particularly among sort of preteens and teens over the last few years. Emotes were just gestures that your character could do, and this was one called Pure Salt, and it was mimicking Salt Bae, the Turkish chef. So that is a way that one video and that one screenshot of that video really took off and became part of the culture. But you could argue that rather than everyone mimicking him and the sort of the meme impacting the culture, did the culture impact the meme in the first place? It's an interesting thought. So what we're going to look at is the history of memes, the purposes of memes, and why the audience of memes is quite so important. And we'll look at images, and then we'll think about how we ourselves can create memes to build our digital skills and also to share research. So you might recognize this meme. I'll let you have a moment to read it. So what you can see is a series of steps to take when you are washing your hands. This is a meme that became very, very popular when it was the start of the pandemic. And this is a particular excerpt from Shakespeare's Macbeth. It is Lady Macbeth's famous "Out damn spot" speech, and it's the idea that you can, while washing your hands, making sure you're doing the full 20-30 seconds, that you can recite this, learn these words while also washing your hands for the right amount of time. Now, my question to you is, what was the aim of this meme? Is it to teach Shakespeare? Is it to promote hand washing? What do you think the aim of this meme is? And those of you who are commenting, saying that it's going to be like teaching elderly parents to use email, don't worry. Memes, as we're going to talk about in a moment, they move on very, very quickly. So no one's ever 100% up to date with this. It's really not an issue at all. So don't worry. Yeah, so talking in the chat about the humor behind memes, is this meme just to make us laugh? Because that's valid. That is completely valid. Yeah, yes, you absolutely can communicate solely in memes. So what was this trying to communicate? It's just interesting to think about. Perhaps there's not just one answer, and very rarely in life is there just one answer or one motive behind anything. But it is absolutely a great way to get your kids to learn Macbeth. It is, because this actually set on fire a whole range of memes where song lyrics were used. You'd see popular artists using their own song lyrics to say, if you sing this chorus, which is 20 seconds long, then you'll get to the end of your hand washing sequence. So it's a great way to promote their music as well. So it's quite interesting to think about how one perhaps innocent, just amusing, Shakespearean themed meme could then be used for self-promotion later on. Yes, and absolutely, things can be used, these memes can be used to raise the profile of the person posting it. And that links me very nicely on to memes used for marketing. If a meme can seep into the culture, seep into our consciousness, then it makes absolute sense that a marketer would want to use memes to promote a product or to promote their corporation, their entity, whatever. So let's have a look at a few examples. You might recognize the memes behind them, or you might just think, what a bizarre way to advertise. So who do you think these memes are aimed at? Are they aimed at a specific demographic, specific target market? It's very interesting to think about that. But think about how these memes can actually perhaps seep into our consciousness and come out in our behavior. Then if we chuckle innocently at a meme that is made by Gucci, then is that affecting us in some way? Or maybe if we laugh once at Gucci, then we might follow their Instagram account and then get all the rest of their content. So you can see with memes that one step can lead to another and another and another. So let's look at where memes actually came from. Because it's always important to look at the history of things to see where we sort of stand now, and so that we are up to date with what is relevant at the moment, because we need our memes to actually be something that a modern audience who looked at them now would appreciate and who might be affected by. So these images are taken from 2006, and that's really when memes in this image combined with text format that we now know and love, that's really when it started taking off on the internet. So this is Monorail Cat, and the icon has Cheeseburger Cat, and these were actually called lolcats, LOL, laugh out loud, cats. And it was just very simply an image of a funny cat and some text on the image. So it had to be inside the image itself, using a very specific font called Impact. And essentially, we still make lolcats today, but we call them memes. So you might see a picture of a cat and some text, but it doesn't have to now be the same font, and it doesn't have to be a cat, though you'll find that a lot of memes still have cats. And actually there's a link to an article there which takes you through a history of lolcats, so very specifically looking even at Egyptian art that kind of has amazing pictures of cats. It's a very interesting read if you should see it, and that is on the slides. Yes, I have heard actually quite a few linguistics departments do look at lolcats because it is very linguistically interesting. So memes don't last. They do not last whatsoever. They're only relevant for a short amount of time, and every meme seems to get a shorter and shorter lifespan as a whole. There are some articles there that actually are exploring how memes seem to be only relevant for this period of time that's getting shorter and shorter. So if, when it comes to us creating our own meme, if we want it to be successful, if we want it to spread certain information, then these memes must have an up-to-date format. So they have to be relevant to the current day, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. And here is a meme about previous memes. It's a graveyard of memes, and these are all memes that were sort of early 2010 of era. And if you saw those now, most people who really enjoy memes would sort of cringe, or perhaps the younger people might not even know that those were once the most popular memes. And here is a weekly meme calendar, which has looked at over the past 2 years, and we don't count 2020. Nobody counts 2020, do they? Over 2018 and 2019, as memes have moved on week by week and those formats have been forgotten, What we will talk about a little bit later is some more enduring memes and their formats that you could still use today and it wouldn't be cringy, even though they're maybe a couple of years old. So quite interesting to see just how short a lifespan they do have. So what is the purpose behind memes? And we've kind of looked into that a little bit already. So I'm asking you now, what is the purpose of memes? If you've got the slides open, you might want to cheat, but I'm sure you don't want to. I'm sure you're really keen to have your own thought time here. So please feel free to put in the chat, what do you think memes are for, based on what we've talked about? Humor, yes. Marketing, yes. Entertainment, provoking thought, creating a community, ooh. To start a discussion, reinforce belonging to a group, ooh, to cheer up, ooh, critique, to get attention, shorthand for something more complex in an entertaining way. Oh, you guys are good. You guys are really good. Yes, yes, fantastic responses. Political views, yes. You're going to see some examples of that in a moment. There is a famous meme, for those of you who might not know, called "How do you do, fellow kids?" And it is a quite amusing satirical look on people trying to get in with the younger crowd, which I think we're all perhaps guilty of, especially when we make memes. But there's no shame in that. We're trying to promote research and positive thinking through memes, right? So here is my list of purposes or potential purposes of memes, and you've kind of touched on them all, which is great. And please do open the slides at some point and keep that link so that you can access this if you'd like to, because there's actually quite a few slides that I've had to skip over that I would have done in the sort of broader session that kind of expands on some of these things a little bit more. But you can by all means look at those in the slide deck on Google Slides. So loads of purposes, loads of potential motives for creating memes. And it kind of leads us to ask the question, why are they so popular? And I'd like to propose a couple of questions to you, really. Is it that we communicate particularly effectively when combining text with images? And is it something that helps us to communicate cross-culturally and perhaps even across languages? And somebody already hit the nail on the head here, this idea of belonging. If we laugh at something that somebody else has created, do we feel like we belong in that sort of same group? Or if somebody laughs at something that we've created, does that make us feel that sense of belonging that the human condition perhaps strives for? So perhaps memes are just a step closer to self-actualization on Bloom's taxonomy. Who knows? Or is it just that we just love that pure relatability that comes with memes? Please enjoy the memes on your screen. Can you relate to any of them? Do they make you smile because you can relate to them? Perhaps the central one is less relatable during COVID when none of us can really go out to any plans. But certainly, I think one of the primary elements of a successful meme is that it is relatable. So we really should be bearing this in mind for when we're creating our own memes. Yes, the remote meme is particularly relatable, I think. So how about memes that are subtly educational? So these are memes which make new connections for the reader. They don't have to be new, but they certainly make connections for the reader. And they can sometimes reinforce perceptions or stereotypes, and not necessarily in a good way, which really contributes to this idea of being an ethical internet user and an ethical creator of memes or anything that is out there. You know, what should be our motivation? Well, hopefully it's for the public good. And sometimes some subtly educational memes can have slightly unclear motivation behind them. So Is it that they are doing it for the public good? Is it just that they want to genuinely make you laugh about something current and relevant? Or is it making a sort of political statement or something? For example, behold. Do you agree that they are subtly related, subtly educational? Ah, now that is an interesting comment. Thank you. The decoding makes them all educational. Yes. So if you are making a meme harder to understand, so they have to be decoded. They have to be actively understood. That is in essence educational in itself, perhaps. Also, just to go to someone's comment in the chat, back to the relatability point, when people spring to mind that you immediately want to send the meme to, that is absolutely relatability, and that is how your meme spreads. So you don't want it to just be relatable to one person if you want a wide audience, but we are going to talk about this a bit later as well. There are ways that you can make your memes explicitly educational. You can take a unique approach, and perhaps this is what we should be doing with some of our research. Here are some examples. So the sort of chart on the left is looking at the bear population and what their rights to vote would look like, and then the image on the right is looking at different mathematical equations in graph form, but using a Xbox as a way to help you learn that. So you know that's I would say a unique approach to learning those things. Now, wholesome memes, I have put in a whole category of them their own, because wholesome memes is their official title on the internet. If you type in wholesome memes, you'll find a lot more than if you just type in nice memes or something like that. Wholesome memes are targeted at just generally making you feel nice. You know, there's hopefully not anything sinister behind it. And here are some examples of what that could look like. Would you agree they are pretty wholesome? I think so. I think so. So audience, super important, because if you aim your meme slightly in the wrong direction, then yours is less likely to be sort of spread among the right people. We want to really target our memes, and that's what will make them a success in getting them out there. So here is a meme about the timeline of memes, and you can see how memes sort of late 2000s, early 2010s had this kind of pun related, you know, this kind of blocky colored background and like this one image with the impact font. I got back with my Xbox 360, and that's kind of what memes were back then. And now memes can be a simple picture of a hat, and then somebody in an interview whose subtitles have been scribbled out just to say the word hat. That might not make you laugh, but I tell you what, that makes a lot of people on the internet laugh. But it is pretty much divided by age group, and we'll look at this now. And here is one person's collection of what that kind of looks like for each of the generations. So with what they have called boomer humor. It's this idea that it's kind of more of a comic. It's not kind of in the image format that we have kind of been seeing. Whereas with Gen X, millennial humor, and Gen Z humor, it kind of becomes more and more abstract and just more and more funny because it's weird, I would say, or funny because it's unexpected, or funny because it's just odd and a bit out there. And we're about to look at another example of that in a moment. So is prior knowledge needed for your meme? Have a look at these. Do these make sense to you? If they don't, do you feel not like you belong? Do you feel silly for not being able to understand them? And if you do understand them, do you feel really good for being able to understand them? Because that all has something to play in a meme's success. So it can make you feel intelligent if you manage to understand a meme. And sharing an intelligent meme shows other people that you are smart. What an incentive for sharing a meme. And therefore, if we create a meme that requires a certain amount of knowledge or specific subject knowledge, then that might make our audience a bit more niche, but it might motivate them a bit more to share it. So it's this idea of the benefits of having that niche audience and it spreading versus making it sort of more widely appealing. But it kind of depends on what one might want to make a meme about. So let's look at images. You do have a choice between real life or cartoon or just not real images. And my advice to you is to avoid too much realism because that avoids potential offence and is generally more popular anyway in the meme scene, shall we say. So, for example, is a picture of a child appropriate to use in a meme that talks about really politically charged opinions? So when we are creating memes, the key is to be, like we've talked about, a person aiming for the public good. Don't be a troll. You have a responsibility whenever you put anything up on the internet. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment, though I'm aware time is running short. So there's a meme, which is Winnie the Pooh. So that's an interesting image of itself, because lots of us will remember Winnie the Pooh, but perhaps we won't remember him wearing a tuxedo and bow tie. You can also use a familiar format or image. So if you use a current, by which I mean up to date and modern and perhaps this week's most popular meme format, that might improve its short-term virality. It's more likely to be popular over the next few days or weeks. Alternatively, you can use an old meme image, ironically, and there has been some research done that suggests that if it's older than a year or two, then wow, people will just scroll past it cringing, unless it is an enduring format. And like I say, I'll show you some of those in a bit. Here is one of those more enduring formats. How old is that image if there are CDs in his sun visor? You can make up your own image. So you can take an image that you yourself have taken. They'll obviously be aware if there's anybody in it. They might need permission from, especially if this goes viral on the internet. Or you can combine two images, or you can do what they call Gen Z-ify it. And here are those promised images. So these are the kind of chaotic images that Gen Z supposedly loves. They declare themselves, or certainly those on social media certainly tend to declare that these are the kind of memes that they particularly enjoy. And I think that they're kind of Marmite, you kind of either love or hate them. And perhaps that's the appeal, who knows? So let's have a little look at the ethics of using images for memes. So this picture became known as the distracted boyfriend meme, and you can see from that image, a man is looking at another woman while he's with what we're kind of assuming is his girlfriend there. And essentially what happened, to cut a long story short, is it became well known that this image was being used illegally whenever it was in a meme because of copyright law. And what happened was the photographer said that as long as people weren't using it in horrible ways, he wouldn't sort of pursue those copyright claims against them. But in extreme cases where there was no good faith in what the outcome of the image had been, he would sort of pursue those in the law. So you could argue that there is a lot of ethics involved when it comes to using people on images for memes. And there are some other case studies on this in the full slide deck if you're interested in looking at that a little bit more. So if you're going to be using a new meme format that you would like to create, just follow the Creative Commons law, make sure you attribute any images, and there are some websites that you can get sort of free source material from that might just require attribution or perhaps none at all. And you can find a template on Google. So have fun describing some of the templates you might have found or might remember from the past. But I have got some templates in these slides for you to have a go with, should you go away from this thinking, yes, I want to make 1 million memes. So it's not easy to explain how to make a meme, but if you would like to have a go at making a meme, here are some steps that you could take. There's no one way to make a meme, but it is helpful to have some ideas of how to start, because you don't want that blank page syndrome if your aim is actually to create a meme. But here is some suggestions. If you're thinking of making something quite complex, we go into a lot more detail about how to edit images a little bit more. If you want to do something like Gen Zify it and make it lots of funky colors and really make that chaotic Gen Z sort of appeal, then you might want to look into using something like Pixlr, which is just a free online imaging platform, image editing platform that you can use. It's quite straightforward to use. Or you could use Google Slides or PowerPoint, because you can always save those as a JPEG or a PNG image. So you can create a meme that way. So if you go on and do create your own meme, then please do feel free to share your meme with us. Be aware that sharing that way isn't anonymous, because it will probably link your name onto it, but that's fine anyway, because we're doing this for the public good, so it's okay if our name's associated with it. So those are some steps that you can take, and here are some of those enduring meme formats. So if you are wanting to make a meme and you're wanting to you don't know where to start, you don't know what kind of format to put it in, then you could look at these formats. So on the next slide, there are some examples of how to use them, but essentially you still see these on the internet today, even though these are quite old now. We're talking of, internet old, which is, 2 or 3 years. Okay, that's old on the internet, I know. But those are ones that you can use pretty much any time until they become perhaps too cringy to see, but hopefully that won't happen for a while yet, so we can use these as enduring meme formats. And then those are my references. There is some more case studies there, like I said, that we can delve into should you want to know about them. But otherwise, do you have any questions? Thank you for listening. It is interesting how some of the Gen Z memes do look quite retro, isn't it? Perhaps that's the point. Good. I'm really pleased that that has been interesting, or perhaps enlightening. Who knows? There is a lot to take in, so please do. I tell you what, I'll put the link to the slides in the chat again, so that you can take that link with you should you wish to revisit it. Obviously the session's recorded as well, so you can use that. Yes, the question in chat about examples of higher education professionals having used memes to promote their research. Not yet, I'm working on it. We have managed to convince quite a few different teams and departments to promote their stuff with memes. and that's generally done quite well on Twitter. So if you look at things like the University of York Library and some of our kind of mini departments, you can see that we have done well on Twitter as a result of these memes. But promoting research, I'm yet to hear about someone who's come to this session and gone away and gone viral. But I believe it can happen. Now, thank you for the fantastic question about accessibility, accessibility and memes. So this is the thing with memes, is that they're not hugely accessible, but it's very interesting to me that Instagram is probably the most popular, or well, it is the most popular social media platform among sort of the younger generation who are starting to use the internet at these younger ages. And Instagram completely revolves around images, which generally are not seen as hugely accessible. But also Instagram is one of the best platforms for finding memes. So it's interesting that memes are so popular, but generally not very accessible. And I have put alt text for as many memes as I possibly could in this presentation. But it's hard. It's hard to explain why a meme is funny if you can't see the image to connect it to the text. So yeah, where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? I'm very open to suggestions. Let's see other questions. Yes, it is actually quite difficult to see which memes are cringy and which aren't. I think to get a better idea of that, it is looking at images on specific social media platforms. So Facebook generally tends to be more popular among sort of an older age range, and that's where you get most of the memes that make that age range and demographic laugh. Whereas, Instagram, the kind of memes that are on there, you'd see a lot more ones that are sort of more Gen Z, that sort of thing. But that's not to say that they're only on there, but that could be a way that you could learn sort of the funny ones for different generations. But honestly, does it matter? Because if you find a meme funny, is that not valid? But it's different when you're thinking about creating for a specific target audience, of course. So it's worth thinking about. Yes, examples of memes for serious and upsetting topics. Yeah, it's very tricky because with all those sorts of memes, it's really hard if it's an emotionally charged subject to separate certain biases or certain emotions from whatever meme is being presented. And that's not just exclusive to memes, that's anything that is produced surrounding an emotionally charged topic, which is why we kind of in the modern day use trigger warnings to say, this topic is coming up. And it's really hard because actually, if you look at so one of the case studies looks at Pepe the Frog, who became a symbol of the alt-right. And essentially what happened to him was he got put in a lot of memes that essentially were trying to slowly desensitize people to topics surrounding anti-Semitism primarily, and just sort of this neo-Nazi culture, and it very harmful, these memes, which is why I haven't put any examples, because some of them are quite shocking. But what they were doing was, this slowly seeping into the consciousness, drip feeding this idea that actually, it's okay to laugh at that, when it's really not okay to laugh at certain things. So it's tricky, because we should always be trying to promote and lead by example, being good users of the internet for the public good, for the objective good, one might say, of other people. So if it's around an emotionally disturbing or upsetting topic, I would probably just avoid those memes, or just avoid that sort of subject, because it's easy to mistake something that has been made with poor intentions And Pepe isn't the only meme out there who has been used to drip feed a certain narrative into your Instagram and Facebook feed. So just be aware of that. That's a very real thing that happens with memes. But there is a flip side to that, where memes can be used to drip feed that, positive thinking and things like that. Yeah, if you see a lot of memes about a specific topic, then probably the internet's remembering things about you, and your the people you follow probably just have that similar sort of interest. So that's quite interesting of itself, and can inform you how to spread your own interest to similar-minded people. How is cultural difference addressed if memes are applied for educational purposes? Now, that is a very good question. Is it just a case of making sure that you are talking broadly about subjects which aren't necessarily culturally specific? You can learn a lot about a culture by what they laugh at. So it depends sort of where you're coming from. Are you talking about sort of this idea of diversifying the curriculum? Are you talking about if you have members of the class who are from different nations, different cultures? I'm quite interested in that question as a whole. But my question to you is can memes communicate cross-culturally, or are they completely result of the culture that they are created in? And I think that's a broad discussion, perhaps. Yes. Someone said that minions are seen as mum memes. Not sure if it's true anymore. Have they moved on? No, memes are very much seen as humour for the older generation, which is perhaps a pity, because memes with minions in, they shouldn't just be cast out because they're perhaps aimed at a different target audience. It's not to say they're not funny, not to say they're not valid. Yes, I think the issue in our particular cultural and our digital climate, sometimes creating anything can be a little bit scary because of how it could potentially cause offence. But I think if you stay away from topics that will definitely cause offence, and you maybe try it with a few close friends, see what they think. To be honest, anything you put out on the internet, somebody will probably take offence. Isn't that one of the unwritten rules? But if you're genuinely not meaning to cause offence, and you're really careful and think it through, then hopefully it's still worth doing. But yeah, absolutely, anything you put on the internet, it is what some people on the internet would call as fair game. You put it up on the internet, you're at their mercy. It can be a way of sharing cultural specificity. Yeah, I think that linked to the other question. Yes, share a part of your culture with an image and some text. That could be a great way of sharing something specific to you and your culture. Yes, like comedy, the timing, scripting of it has to be timed well. Yeah, I think that's very true. I think anything that makes you laugh has to be timed well somehow, and thought through, I think, which I think is quite an interesting thing when you look at the order of text and image in memes. So if we look at some of these enduring meme formats, you'll see that there are a series of images. So let's look at this Drake meme. So Drake, the singer, is in it, but I don't think it's relevant that it's him. I think it's just his dance move that just makes him look disgusted. I think the internet just found that hilarious. And so he kind of looks disgusted at the toilet roll turned that way. So we kind of follow it from the left to the right, and then we go down to the next next row, and he looks much happier at the toilet roll turned that way around. So you could argue that with a series of images like that, it is about the timing, because you're thinking, oh, he's disgusted, oh, he's, and you're kind of by that point trying to fill in the gaps a little bit. What is it that's going to really make him happy if that's what's disgusted him? But also you could argue that that's a cultural barrier, because if you read from the right to the left, does that change your meaning? Or does that change how funny you find it? Or maybe it makes it funnier. You look at the toilet roll and then you see he's disgusted. What are those differences? It's quite interesting to think about. Now that's a fantastic example. Thank you for sharing that. So somebody in chat has said that they follow lots of cultural meme pages on Instagram as an Armenian, and it brings the community together so much, as well as educating those who aren't Armenian but have friends and partners who are. So that's a really nice example, actually, of how memes are used to bring a community together, to bring a culture together, to educate others about a culture. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Has anyone here tried out using memes with their students? Any success stories? Anyone? So someone has kindly said that they tried teaching a referencing refresher session using only memes as illustration, but by the time they came to deliver it, the dankness was negligible, so never ran again. Dank memes are a category of memes. Dank memes are just funny memes. They're not necessarily wholesome memes, but they are generally just like the most hilarious memes. So if you're just wanting to find some funny memes that are pretty broad facing, you might Google search, put on images, dank memes, and then you'll get some of the best memes. I haven't Googled that in a while, so I don't know what will come up. So warning in advance of doing that. Be responsible with your browsing. Yep, feel free to share these slides with anybody who might be impassioned by the thought of memes in education. Yes, someone suggested it might be easy to use in a descriptive versus critical exercise, different levels of analysis, etc. Absolutely. Yes, do have a go. Absolutely. See what comes of it. And you absolutely have to report to me if it goes viral. Please. I can use you as an anonymous example in the future. And you can inspire other people, other meme creators in the future. That'd be great. Are there any more questions? Have I missed any? While kind of trying to madly browse through the chat, please just repost it if I've missed it. Yes, as Maddie has put in the chat, the slides and a recording of the session will be available at that link in the next few days. So please do feel free to take a look at that. Just a plug for the next session, using Google Cardboard to engage students. I actually have a Google Cardboard somewhere in here. So that sounds like a good one. And then there is also a form that would be lovely to hear about where you are from and maybe a bit about who you are. So please have a look at that in chat and fill in that form. The how it started, how it's going meme caption format for a teaching and learning exchange for expectations versus reality. Expectations versus reality is absolutely a hugely popular and valid meme format that many people love, and it's quite an easy one to get to grips with. So that's really good. A great idea of using memes. Great, I'm really pleased that you've enjoyed it. Oh wow, that's real true praise, better than the telly. Wow, I might put that on my CV for future. Can I quote you?
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much, Ariel. That has been a real insight into memes, something I knew nothing about. So thank you ever so much for your time today and for coming to talk to us. And thank you to everybody who came along to the session. And please do come along. It's only 2 weeks to go till our next one, where Debbie will be talking to us about Google Cardboard, as Ariel said, and the link will be sent very soon via the Aldine website. So thank you very much. Have a very lovely day.
Thank you. Bye.